Practice Test 4. Part 6. Question 66. In the figure, the 240-volt single-phase feeder supplies a branch circuit panel that has an improperly balanced load of 57 amperes on one ungrounded conductor and 45 amperes on the other. Ungrounded conductor has a load on the grounded conductor of 12 amperes. 240-volt single-phase feeder feeds branch circuit panel with unbalanced load of 57 amperes on one ungrounded conductor, 45 amperes on the other. Ungrounded conductor, load on the grounded conductor is 12 amperes. 240-volt single-phase feeder. Unbalanced load of 57 amp on one, and 45 amp on the other. Ground has 12 amps. Question 67. A standby generator at a hospital will restore electric power within 10 seconds of a power interruption, Electrical Code 517. Hospital standby generator will restore power within 10 seconds of power interruption. Hospital standby generator restores power within 10 seconds of interruption. Question 68. Using the figure, how many smoke detectors are needed? 5 smoke detectors. How many smoke detectors are needed? 5. 5 smoke detectors are needed. Question 69. A standby generator is turned on after a power failure by which device? Transfer switch. Electrical Code 517. Transfer switch activates standby generator after a power failure. A transfer switch will turn on standby generator after a power failure. Question 70. Receptacle installed in garages must be at least 18 inches from the floor. Garage receptacles must be at least 18 inches from the floor. Install garage receptacles 18 inches from the floor. Question 71. In a 440 square foot room, you have 20 fluorescent fixtures at 180 VA each. How many 120 volt 20 amp circuits would be needed? 2 circuits. 440 square foot room, 20 fluorescent fixtures of 180 VA each. Will need 2 circuits of 120 volt, 20 amps. 20 fixtures, 180 VA each. Will need 2 circuits of 120 volt at 20 amps. Question 72. You are asked to remodel an office in a 7-story building and you are wiring a partition wall. What type of wiring would you use? EMT conduit. Remodel an office in 7-story building, use EMT conduit when wiring a partition wall. Use EMT conduit when wiring a partition wall in an office building on 7th floor. Question 73. What colors are normally used for 480 volt wiring? Brown, orange and yellow. Boy. 480 volt wiring is boy, brown, orange and yellow. 480 volt. Boy. Brown, orange, yellow. 480 volts, boy. Brown, orange, yellow on 480 volt. Question 74. How do you check your voltage across phases? A to B. B to C. C to A. Check voltage across phases. A to B. B to C. C to A. Check voltage across phases. A to B. B to C. C to A. Question 75. A drawing calls for 3 duplex receptacles on a wall. The wall is glass from floor to ceiling. What do you do? Install 3 approved receptacles near the wall. Drawing calls for 3 duplex receptacles on a wall. The wall is glass from floor to ceiling. Install 3 approved receptacles near the wall. Drawing calls for 3 duplex receptacles on a wall. The wall is glass from floor to ceiling. Install 3 approved receptacles near the wall. Question 76. When bidding a job, you discover a major discrepancy between the prints and the specs. What do you do? Write an RFI to the architect. Discover major discrepancy between the prints and the specs. Write an RFI to the architect. Discover major discrepancy between prints and specs. Write an RFI to the architect. Question 77. Using the figure, the correct connection for the 2 120 volt lights to the single pole switch would be 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4 and 7. Single pole switch has no neutral input. Loop and pigtail neutral from light to light. Pass black hot wire through switch on top lug, out bottom lug to L1, then pigtail to L2. Correct connection for the two 120 volt lights to single pole switch would be 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4 and 7. Question 78. A 100 kVA, 2400, 120 volt transformer will carry at a full load on the secondary current of 832 amps. 100 kVA, 2400, 120 volt transformer carries 832 amps at full load on the secondary current. 100 kVA, 2400, 120 volt transformer carries 832 amps at full load on the secondary current. Question 79. A 100 kVA, 2400, 120 volt transformer will carry at a full load on the primary current of 41.6 amps. 100 kVA, 2400, 120 volt transformer carries 41.6 amps at full load on the primary current. 100 kVA, 2400, 120 volt transformer carries 41.6 amps at full load on the primary current. Question 80. Which black wire can be used as a ground conductor, if green tape is placed on it? Number 6. Electrical Code 310.12, B. Number 6. Black wire can be taped green and used as a ground. Can green tape up a black number 6 wire and use as a ground?